Welcome to Podadelphia. My name is Dave DiOrio. You can find me on Twitter at @fat_lobster, and I'm joined by two of our very own neon highlighters. What's up, Sarah and Jean?
You know, I really should have come up with a highlighter pun based off the title of the show, based off the events of the week, but I got nothing. So if you want more insightful comedy like this, you can find me on Twitter at Sarah Siders. You can find the show at Podadelphia.
And my name is Gene Zelek. You can find me on Twitter at Producer Gene. You can find the show at Podadelphia. And if I had the choice of what highlighter to be, I think I would be the blue highlighter.
Oh. Feeling okay, Gene?
Yeah, I just feel like
you want to talk about?
I feel like the blue highlighter is underutilized. That's all.
I don't like this. I don't like this layout of this. I have to switch it back. Sorry.
Okay, so now it's a little more normal.
I have to jump in about that blue highlighter. It's pretty, but I don't think it's very effective. It doesn't highlight.
That sounds exactly like me.
Also, most effective when used. Yeah, the blue highlighter is most effective when used in conjunction with other highlighters.
Because it really.
I highlight the stuff in yellow and this stuff in pink, and then blue seems to be like the tertiary highlighter. Gene,
I feel like the green is the worst because you most text you can't really read through green highlighter.
Well, what did Sirianni have? He had a pink and a yellow, and a pen,
and a pen, or mechanical pencil, but I think it was a pen.
Okay, yeah, and a keychain, right, with a rabbit's foot.
Yeah.
So, right, I guess we start with the Eagles, and let me just start. Let me kind of lay out where I'm coming from with the Eagles, and then we'll just kind of branch off from there. So, I am of the mind that I'm not really that twisted up about anything with the Eagles right now. There's things that I'm displeased with, I guess you could say, but the wins and losses are not getting me in a bind right now. When we're mapping out wins and losses before the season starts, I did have the Eagles beating Atlanta. I did have the Eagles losing to San Francisco, Dallas, and the Chiefs. So 1-3 start hasn't knocked me off my square all that much. I feel like Hurts is playing better under Sirianni. I feel like Devontae Smith was a good pick in the first round, something that we haven't seen pan out over the past few years. Yes, the defense is struggling. Yes, the record isn't where we want it to be. Yes, there are some sort of weird calls, but you have a first time, not just a first year Eagles head coach. You just have a first time head coach period with a lot of first timers and young guys around him. And, I don't know, this year to me is just let's just figure some stuff out and see where it all lands.
Yeah, that's pretty much me too. I was coming into this season with low to no expectations, and those are being fulfilled. But I want to see progress. I want to see going forward, certainly the penalties reduced. That is a glaring problem, a historic problem for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Based off the first 4 weeks, we have to do something about that. So I don't care if it's Sirianni's first year. I don't care if it's Jalen Hurts' first full year as the starter. They have to improve. And as long as they're improving, as long as I'm seeing things progress to being a better team for next season, then I'll be happy. Devontae Smith does look like a special player. And Hurts is he looks comfortable back there. He looks like a starting quarterback in the NFL. I still don't know if he's franchise quarterback, but he looks like a starting quarterback in the NFL. He looks like he should be there. So those are good things for me. Yeah, the defense is hot garbage, but that's fine. We got to see a pretty good offensive show last week, not so much the week before, but last week. So I do see a lot of positives, and this isn't moral victory. It's just I don't think the Eagles are there yet. I just don't think they're a good enough team to to be getting real victories. So we'll have to settle for the moral victories right now.
Gene, where are you at with the Eagles?
I guess I'm going to be sort of the contrarian because I am a little more miffed than I think either of you are. I think that where I get frustrated is, we saw these problems 4 weeks ago. These were the problems that we're seeing. They couldn't stop the run against Atlanta. They still can't stop the run. They were committing penalties in Atlanta. They still are committing penalties. I think that what I was expecting to see would be some sort of adjustment. And I'm not seeing any sort of semblance of adjusting. I'm not seeing any sort of ability to enact lessons that they're learning from week to week to week. In the big picture, I think that there are certain players that are sort of maybe making progress. I think Devontae Smith has looked better every week. I think that Jalen Hurts has had a pretty good game pretty much every game this season. It is comforting to not be coming on every week and blaming the quarterback for being the real reason why the Eagles are losing. I don't think it's the quarterback's problem. I think what my issue is, and the thing that upsets me is I can take losses. It's not about the record for me right now, but I really, really don't like getting run off the field. In the last 2 weeks, our defense has been run off the field. When you give up 83 points in 2 weeks, granted, you're talking about maybe a historically good offense in Kansas City and what seems to be a pretty good offense in Dallas. NFL defenses shouldn't be giving up 80 points in 2 weeks if you have any semblance of self-respect. And the thing that is really, really frustrating is outside really of the Dallas game, you had opportunities to win and be 3-1. It's one thing that if the talent gap was as wide as maybe it seems like it's on paper, but the Eagles were in the San Francisco game and they were down 5 points with under 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter in the Kansas City game. These are games that at least should remain, competitive. I don't understand making double-digit penalties, 13, 14 penalties every week, especially when it's the same penalties over and over again. Now, Sirianni did come out and say, they're calling that, illegal man downfield a little tighter this year. Yeah, but they called it against you 3 times in the opening week. You've had a lot of time to adjust either the way you're calling that play or series of plays, or the way you have a Hall of Fame level coach as your offensive line coach. I know that he can communicate those changes to those players. So I'm frustrated, I think is the best way to put it with the Eagles. I didn't want to be frustrated. I wanted to sort of just take it be the stone in the river and let it sort of just flow over me. But I can't help but get frustrated when you see sort of the way they are losing these games, because it's, yes, they are losing to better teams, but have that sort of self-respect or that, I don't know, try to have some sense of swagger. You know what I mean? I just don't see it with the Eagles. I see them so much as oh, we're learning. We're just out there learning. The NFL is not, a place where you can spend a lot of time sort of just trying shit out. You know what I mean? You got to get better every single week and not worse every single week. I mean, it's hard to not be team. Let's get 3 top 10 picks this year, but there's already people calling for Nick Sirianni's head. Do you want to be the franchise that fires their head coach at the end of the year? Do we want to be the Cleveland Browns? I don't want to be that squad.
Well, I'd rather be a franchise that fires a coach a little too soon as opposed to just sticking with a bad decision. If Sirianni's not the guy, let's get rid of him. But I think it's way too early to see that. unless the team makes no improvement throughout the year, I think you got to give him 2 years at least. But I think unless he loses the room, I think unless it's a really toxic environment, you bring him back for next year. But if he does lose the room, if it is a toxic environment, if he's just not up to the job, get him out of here. I would much rather make the right decision that looks bad than to make a good-looking decision that is bad.
Hold on a second. So first off, can we talk about the penalties for 1 second? Chris Lahif says there are too many veterans on this team for all the penalties they are committing. And yes, I will agree with you both that this is the one point of contention that I have, with like, okay, well, I can deal with bad play. I can deal with, some growing pains and things like that. But, just like with the Brett Brown days, like I can't deal with the turnovers. I can't deal with the penalties with this team. I can't deal with defensive errors with the Phillies. Like I just can't deal with the little league peewee, like mental mistakes that are going on from being checked out and not being fully prepared to play the games. So that's number one. The question about Sirianni and like people calling for Sirianni's head, like I just don't like I don't know where that is, like how you would be able to make an informed decision about that at this point.
Yeah, I think you can't make an informed decision at this point. Like Dave said, to start the show, or maybe it was Eugene, it's his first year as an NFL head coach. There's going to be a learning curve, and you don't want to be the franchise that like kicks somebody to the curb after going 1-4 or 1-3 or whatever the hell we're gonna be. I kind of think we might be 1-4, but you don't want to make that decision when you entered the season with so many variables. None of us sat down here and said, well, the Eagles, look at them on paper, they're going to be a great team. None of us felt that way. I don't think anybody felt that way. And they're going up against good competition, and they're losing. Gene, you said it's getting worse every week. I don't feel that. I feel like the Kansas City game, the defense they might as well not even played. But I think the offense, I think the team on the whole was good. I felt that game was a lot closer than
that's Kansas City's identity. It's like, okay, we're all offense. We have a terrible defense. So everyone's offense is going to shine a little brighter in that game. So I almost like can't even say, well, the offense looked better. Well, yeah, they did look better because they played against a really terrible defense. I think I went into this season basically saying the Eagles will find success because they have strengths in the trenches. They have a good offensive line. They have a good defensive line. If healthy, those can both be top 10 lines in the league. The problem is they are not healthy. So now this is a major, major issue. And we talked about this before the season started, that the team is paper thin. There is no depth. It's like a shoestring with everyone healthy and everything falls just right. They can find success and, maybe get the over on 6.5 wins in the season, maybe scratch out 7 or 8. Without a line, without the lines being healthy, it's a house of cards. It's over. We will be looking at a natural top 10 pick for the Eagles this year, putting aside the other picks that will potentially also top 10 picks this year. So I don't know. Like I can't hold Sirianni accountable for this at this point because it's just like not great. And to be honest, like the more coaches come through the Philadelphia coaching turnstiles here, the more I'm starting to think like, is it like, man, being a head coach must be really hard, because when I think of just all the things like, hey, look, just balance the run, do these obvious things. So here's another one from Chris. Covering Tyreek Hill 101 has to be the most questionable decisions of the past week. Yeah, especially because your defense coordinator says, oh, why don't we play a dime package on 3rd and long? We're not really a dime team. We're not really a dime team. So we don't play 6 DBs. And obvious long distance passing situations because we're just not a dime team. Okay.
I don't. That's one
Maybe
of those
we're just
things
not a defense team.
Yeah, this is one of those things that frustrates me watching the defense is, you sort of, we all know sort of by looking at down and distances to some degree what teams' tendencies are going to be, and it seems like our defensive coordinator or our defensive strategy seems to be the plan is let's try to trick them by doing the opposite of what we think would be a good defense against their offense. Maybe we'll fool them by giving them a passing look, and they're going to run. There's so many things that don't make any sense. Maybe beyond that is our linebackers have zero aggression. Our linebackers wouldn't intimidate probably a high school team somewhere in the middle of the country. They don't put any sort of fear about receivers going across the middle on slants. They don't stack up well in the box to sort of shut down the run. This is the epidemic of literal decades of ignoring an important position in defense by not putting any draft stock or any real free agent stock in the linebacker core. You've just not had any star power in the linebacking core. And right now, this is maybe the worst I've ever seen it as far as Eagles linebackers. It's just not going to cut it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind if the organizational strategy is to say, okay, look, every team's got a weakness. We are going to accept that our weakness is the linebacking core. That's fine to say. The problem is you just can't totally ignore it, like it's not a part of the game whatsoever. You need to have a little bit of cash devoted to those positions,
or you have to be so dominant in one of the other sections of your defense, either
healthy. And that's the thing. It's like you just add another game to the season. The odds that players are going to stay healthy through the entire season has just gone down. Whatever that percentage extra is. I don't know if it's like
and the way that they ran training camp and everything with going so low impact was sort of to maintain this sort of health. But I don't know that there's anything that gives you any reason to believe that by not having a full-on training camp and by not trying to give people reps in the preseason, did you any service in keeping those guys healthy? Because once the games start and you're at full speed, those guys across the line from you, they're going to hit you really hard. That's just the fact.
Does anybody do that anymore? Like, I feel like it's just been narrative of. So
I know the Patriots do. I think they still have a pretty physical preseason. I don't know. I guess we'd have to talk to former players and see how they feel. I mean, like Ike Reese pretty much goes on the radio every day and yells about how you have to wear pads and get hit to get ready for the season. I don't know if that keeps you healthy or not. I don't know. He seems to feel like it's important. Maybe I don't know. I just know it's like, well, whatever happens, you did the wrong thing. Like if you're practicing with pads and you're playing guys in the preseason, someone gets hurt, it's the preseason. You can't play these guys. You don't play them, and then you start the season if they start slow or they get injured. Oh, it's because you didn't play them in the preseason. So it's really easy for everyone to sit back and say, like, well, what should you do? What he should have done. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like these guys are damned if they do and they're damned if they don't.
Well, I mean,
I just think they're just not good. Like, they're just not good. They're not good enough. Like, what do you want from them? They can play preseason. They can not play preseason. They're just not good.
The counter argument is
they're old. They're old. They're not good. They're old. They're too young, or they're not good.
The counter argument is that they're supposed to be having so many more mental reps. They're supposed to be doing so much more classroom work. Okay. Does this seem like a smart team to you? Does this seem like a studious team to you? Does this seem like a team that has got a mental edge on their opponents? Because I don't see that either. I don't feel like this is a team that is making outthinking their opponents. This is a team that shoots itself in the foot on a regular basis. And
maybe they're overthinking.
Maybe.
You know, maybe they're doing too many mental reps, they're getting assigned too much homework, not enough downtime.
They are too damn smart.
Look. Lane Johnson is not out there doing 3-dimensional chess. Okay, it's just not. It's not. Look, one player on the team needs to be smart. That's the quarterback. Everyone else needs to be a dog. You know, like a junkyard dog. Like just be mean and nasty and do the I don't know, whatever you like, body condition programming that has been instilled in you since Pee Wee football, and just do it. You know, I don't need everyone like double thinking or analyzing. I don't want to be the smartest football team. You go out to the schoolyard and pick the smartest kids to be on your football team and let me know how well you do.
I think the smartest kids in the schoolyard that don't do well at football start podcasts. And, you know, it's been working pretty well for us.
I'm giving everyone on the show the Wonderlic test. We're going to see if we can beat Jalen Hurts.
I'll do it. Sign me up.
I would do it too. I think it'd be fun. Can we get our hands on that thing?
I think so.
There's
or at
probably
least
some version of it.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure there's like a what do you call it? Like a quiz, a Facebook quiz. You could say.
I'm sure, like the BuzzFeed.
I'm sure BuzzFeed.
Yeah, like the
BuzzFeed Wonderlic test.
Let's find out which quarterback you are.
What's your Wonderlic score?
Do you? All right. So, God. All right. First off, the Tyreek Hill thing also kills me because you guys know he's like my most hated NFL player, and to just see him run wild all day was just so annoying to me. And then for him to have the nerve to wear an Iverson like warm-up jacket in the press conference, I was like, oh my God, get the hell out of here. And then all the kowtowing to Andy Reid this week. Here's the one thing I'll say. Andy Reid has coached his last game in Philadelphia. What do you think about that?
Wow.
Like, when's the next time the Chiefs are going to be here, right?
I think it would be like 4 years from now, right?
No. I think it'll be longer than that because we would play. The next time we play them would be in 3 years, but it would be a road game. Right.
I think so. I think that's how the schedule works. Yeah, I mean, it's possible unless he was to change teams that Andy Reid has coached his last game. I guess you sort of feel like Andy Reid's on his swan song. You think he's sort of near the end of his coaching days?
I mean, maybe I don't know. It's just like wishful thinking to me, and it's not because I don't hate Andy Reid. I just hate like the storyline. I'm so over it. Like I was watching ESPN the other day, and they were like, Andy Reid's the first coach of, in 100 games with 2 teams, which is so rare because usually if you win 100 games with a team, that team does everything they can to keep you. It's like,
Andy Reid was here, 14 years? Was that the final total?
That's
14,
all?
15, I mean, 14 years is a long time. But I think he was here 14 or 15 years, and he's been away how many? He's been away, I'm going to get 7?
Yeah.
Almost as long, maybe. I don't know. But this isn't new. It's not triumphant Andy's first return home. Yes, he had the medical scare or whatever happened there. But yeah, there's a lot of ex-coaches, and Andy Reid was here a long time. But he's gonna go into the Hall of Fame if he goes into the Hall of Fame. If they do this for coaches, as a Kansas City Chief, and
good for him. Good for him. That's great. And I'll tell you what, over the last few weeks, I've been hearing Gabe Kapler, Joe Girardi. I've been hearing Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni. I'm hearing all this stuff. And you know what it comes down to? It comes down to the players. If you have the players, your team wins. If you don't have the players, you lose and you struggle and you get pissed off. And maybe a coach can do a couple of things to neutralize a game, a play, a drive, a series here and there. But a coach is not going to take you from not making the playoffs to the playoffs. It just doesn't happen. It's the players. And I'm just tired of hearing about the coaches because you can change coaches all day long. Unless you get actual talent here on the field, on the court, on the diamond, it's just not going to happen. And these teams are so myopic when it comes to getting talent here. There's no foresight. There's no future planning. Everything's got to happen now, next season, this season. The fans want immediate gratification. We can't wait for anything. Shit, it's been 3 games. We're not winning anything. Fire Nick Sirianni. Jonathan Gannon's an idiot. The players aren't here. Give them a freaking break.
There's no better example to what Dave's saying to the fact than the other storyline that was sort of national this week was Tom Brady going back to New England. And, you know, everybody sort of said like Belichick versus Brady, Belichick and Brady, da-da-da-da. Well, Tom left Bill and Tom got another ring and Bill didn't make the playoffs. And before Tom Brady came along, Bill Belichick coached Cleveland. So
is Bill Belichick a bad coach now? Maybe
is it the coach, or was Tom Brady really actually truly the best quarterback of all time? And does whatever it is that makes Tom Brady great, is that really the secret sauce that was the dynasty that was New England? Or, you know, I think that's probably, you know, if there was an argument or a sort of mic drop sort of scenario for what Dave's saying, you know, really, it's the players. They're the guys that have to execute. You can plot and plan all you want, but if you've got Donovan McNabb yakking in a huddle when you're trying to come back in the Super Bowl, what's Andy Reid going to do?
Yeah, I think
he can't make him.
Donovan is the reason Andy won. Donovan and Patrick Mahomes are the reason Andy Reid has won 200 games. You think Andy Reid made 4th and 26? I mean, like, come on.
No, Freddie Mitchell made 4th and 26.
But I think a coach makes a difference, but it's not. I agree with you, Dave. 90% or at least 70% of a team's results are the players. You know, I think a coach can either bring them down or pump them up. What, 10%, maybe 20? I have no idea. But usually you talk about it's time to get rid of a coach when they're not advancing far in the playoffs. You know, it's okay. The Eagles go out in the first round every year. They look great. Wouldn't that be nice, just consistency to make the playoffs? But okay, the Eagles go out in the first round every year and they look good in the regular season. They fall apart in the playoffs. That's pointing to the coach for me. And, you know, unless somebody on the team has like major anxiety problems or something like that. But I think the bulk of the heavy lifting happens on the players, and a coach can either build them up or break them down, but it's really rare. And I can't really think of it in football just by the nature of the game, but, you know, like in hockey, you know, I think we went a record. I went 28 minutes without bringing up hockey at this show. But you can have somebody like a Barry Trotz who puts in this defensive system that elevates okay players to play winning, really boring hockey. And that can happen, but that's a really rare occasion. And you still have to have the players to do it. You want to look at that Islanders team and go, oh, it's all Trotz, it's all Trotz, it's all Trotz. Like, no, they have the players they need for their team. And Andy Reid, not to pump his tires anymore, he had the players he needed for a long time, with especially Donovan, to make it work, to have his system work. And Andy Reid and Donovan were a match made in heaven, you know, for that West Coast offense style of why run when you can throw for a 2-yard gain, which Andy and Donovan both loved and actually had a lot of success with.
Okay, let's look at the game on Sunday, right? There was a turnover. There was a fumble. The Eagles fumbled the football. It got called down by contact. That if Andy Reid challenged that, he would have won. It would have been a fumble and a turnover and Chiefs ball. Instead, he didn't challenge it, and the Eagles scored a touchdown. Okay? Now, that was not the difference between winning and losing that game on Sunday. It could very easily have been the difference between winning and losing that football game, though, had you played a competent football team. So we're talking about, oh, look how great Andy is. Well, he ain't that great. He missed that one. I mean, his legacy for us is poor clock management, wasting timeouts. Yeah, I just don't like. I mean, I get it. He's a good coach. Like this, there's good coaches around the league. There's good coaches, there's bad coaches, there's okay coaches. I get it. I just don't know that the degree of difference between all of them is galaxies apart.
I agree. I think you have to be a truly awful coach to tank a good team. To disrupt it, you have to be like worst of the worst. And I think you have to be like the best coach to take a bad team and make them respectable. But I completely agree with you, Dave. I think it's just small degrees of difference. A good coach knows the right buttons to push to enhance his team. A bad coach doesn't. And that might be a difference of 1 or 2 wins.
So do you want to see your coach sort of like flip his lid, whether you're talking about Joe Girardi or Nick Sirianni or even Doc Rivers or Peter Laviolette, I feel like was a much better example of a Flyers coach that could really blow his stack, to sort of galvanize a team. Or do you want
my coach? I want my coach to be like just think about the best boss you've ever had at work. I want my coach to be like that.
Dave,
I want
you're
someone
my best boss.
What?
I said you're my best boss.
I was never your boss.
You're my boss of the podcast.
No, I'm not. I want someone who is honest, holds people accountable, is a straight shooter, looks organized. I will say Nick Sirianni does not look organized all the time. I mean, he looks pretty flustered when things get out of hand, like pretty easily. I mean, yeah, when you do have like 7 pens hanging from your right, you don't know what you're doing. You're just like, okay, things are moving too fast for you, and you're not able to keep up. And I get it. It's like that's a new thing, and you're in a pressure cooker. And I would say to Nick Sirianni just to like pump the brakes with like the pro Philly stuff, because it's not like if you're winning, that's cutesy, and if you're not, it's like they're pushing it too hard, because we got the Flyers hat going, and like I don't know. It feels it's not a bit much.
Yeah.
I like it, but it's like getting like to be a point where it's like
it doesn't need to be something novel every week. You know what I mean? Like you made your point. I think the one of the things, and the difference is the way that I think sort of they're all taking a page now when they come into town. They sit down with their representatives, because that's how the world works now. You have people, when you want to appeal to the folks that are coming through the turnstile, you've got your representatives, whether it's your manager, if you're a player, or your agent maybe, and they say, okay, you want to make new fans, you want to, this is the sort of things you want to put out on Twitter. These are the things you want to address. And I think right now, all of these guys that are coming into Philadelphia, they're all sat down and they're like, here is the Bryce Harper package. And they show all of the things that Bryce Harper did sort of in those initial weeks when he was a Philly, and how it sort of galvanized the fans behind him. Here's the difference, though. Bryce Harper has delivered, for the most part, on everything that he has sort of was advertised to be. Especially this season when he put up MVP caliber numbers.
Yeah, and we were begging. We were like begging for Bryce Harper to come here. It was like, please, Bryce Harper, please come here. I was refreshing Twitter like 25,000 times a day. Please, Bryce Harper, please. Nobody was like, Nick Sirianni, please come to Philly, Nick Sirianni. Who the fuck are you? Please come to Philly.
We don't need like a Jeffrey Lurie faced lined suit jacket. We don't need the Beat Dallas t-shirts. We don't need the the Flyers caps. We don't need
3 years ago. I told you 3 years ago, I was like, hey, guess what? Nick Sirianni is a big Phillies fan. Like, that's someone you go to, is that someone you work with, Dave? But if you were like, yo, Bryce Harper loves the Philly Fanatic, you'd be like, right on, man. I have no respect for that guy.
Yeah, and I think is, with Nick Sirianni, if you're going to wear a T-shirt that says "Beat Dallas," you can't then lose to them by double digits. You sort of need, you got to sort of,
Yeah, you better have some intel that you're going to win that game.
Yeah, or I just feel like it's real bold, when it's the third game of the year and you come out with that Beat Dallas t-shirt. It's a choice. It's a choice. I love the t-shirt.
But if they did
I bought one, but I don't know if I'm going to wear it now. It sort of got a funk on it.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing too. Bryce is here for the long haul.
15 years.
With the contract he signed, with the resume he came here with, this wasn't just ingratiate myself to the fan base. This was, I mean, we all talked about it. I mean, he must have known that his wife was expecting when he kept talking about, we're starting a family, we're starting a family, we're starting a family. It's like, all right, calm down. Like, do that off stage. We don't want to see you make it. Some people may, and that's good for you. But he's going to be here, and he's going to be raising his family here and be part of this community for a long time. Whereas Nick Sirianni is coming on a bit strong. It seems like, when it's reciprocated, it's like, woohoo, we're all a big happy family. Now it's like, slow down, Nick. We just started dating. You seem like a nice enough guy. I want this to work. You want this to work. Please stop showing me houses on Zillow. Okay. That took a little bit of a journey, and I was happy with it.
It ended up where I expected, so I was happy to get there.
Speaking of houses on Zillow, I see Ben Simmons' apartment condo in Philadelphia.
One of his homes
is for sale. Yep.
Oh.
So it must be real. You must really want to leave now.
I was gonna say, shouldn't you wait until you're actually traded? You might actually be stuck here for a while.
Must really, really want to leave. So what shall we talk about now? The Phillies seems to be a good segue. Did you guys eulogize the Phillies last episode, or were we still?
I think as much as we could. I think there was a slim ray of optimism. Certainly wasn't optimism, but there was like a slim ray,
there was a glimmer of hope. There was like a hope
chance, that there was
sweep the Braves and we can do it.
No, there was a caveat. There was a caveat that it was still technically possible for the Phillies to salvage the season, but
because they had already lost game 1, right, or something like that.
They lost while we were on the air last week. Yeah, we sort of held off on talking Phillies until that game went final.
So the Phillies had a winning season, first time in 11 years.
Yeah, I'm going to the parade. You guys want to go?
We're gonna winning season parade.
We'll meet. We're gonna meet at Gino's, and we'll grab steak sandwiches, and we're gonna watch utility players go by.
Okay, everyone's gonna kill me for this, but I feel like that is a symbolic thing. I feel like we've crossed the Danube. The Rubicon. We've crossed the Rubicon. That's what it is. Like, that's it. This is it now. This is like we've turned the corner now. It's just like that 80-second win was the hardest one to get, like, over the last 10 years. And now that we got it, it's like it's all downhill now. It's like the accelerator. We're gonna hit the accelerator. Things are gonna start happening.
I mean, from your lips to God's ears, but I'm not sure that's how it works. I'm happy.
No, it's a mental switch. Like,
well, I hope so, but the accomplishment is the Phillies stop shitting the bed, and while that's a wonderful thing to be celebrated, we need a little more consistency. We need to know that they're not going to shit the bed next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. So I'm happy with this step. Believe me, no one wants to clean up shit in the morning. But I'm not throwing away the pull-ups. I'm not throwing away the overnight diapers. So
Sarah is like the queen of the analogies today. I'm really
apparently I start them and I don't know where I'm going to end them. What's what?
Are you currently in potty training mode for a child?
No, we are past potty training, but the overnights are a little wonky.
Okay. All right.
Just with number 1, not with number 2. You don't need to know this. I don't need this on a record.
The Phillies are out of diapers now. They are still wearing the overnight pull-ups. I'm a big kid now. The Phillies are a big kid now. No, I'm optimistic going into next season for the Phillies. Look, the stars are not going to align like they did this year. That's for sure. So it's going to be harder next year. I think the rotation can be, let's see, there's 30 teams, a top 12 MLB starting rotation with Wheeler, Suarez, Nola, Gibson, Eflin. If those guys are healthy and feeling good, I think that could be a top 12, top 14 rotation. I feel like there are holes there's some holes that I'm like, okay, it's just a hole, do your best. And that's fine, but you do have to solve a couple of them in the offseason.
So which holes do you think are unfillable?
What holes?
I have an opinion. I have a thought on one I think there's no way to fix, at least not in the short term.
So look, center field leadoff hitter is the thing everyone wants. It's not fillable. You're not going to fill it this offseason. Outside the organization, you're not going to fill it. Who's available? I've been asking people all day. Yeah, everyone who's saying center field or leadoff, who's available? You know what names I get? Byron Buxton. He's not an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure he's a Minnesota Twin, and I don't see that changing.
Trey Turner, converted him to an outfielder. He's not an unrestricted free agent. Nick Castellanos, he's not a free agent.
Right,
so you're going to trade for these guys? Okay. The most viable option that I heard was Mark Canha. Like, no, that's not going to. That dude hits 230. Like, come on.
That's not much of an upgrade from Odubel Herrera, to be honest with you. Do you think that Odubel's back as the starting center fielder next year?
Maybe.
And are you okay with that?
No, I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it for the same reason why I'm not okay with Tyreek catching 3 touchdowns on Sunday. I'm just not okay with it. Like, I would much rather, us find another solution to that.
Yeah, I don't want to see him back for the obvious reasons. And
AJ Pollock, not a free agent.
And we don't have tradable assets.
No.
Right.
So I feel like that's the hardest one to get.
Well, Bryce himself said we have to build the right way. We have to build through the farm. Maybe he wants to be a player manager to end his career with a competitive team, but if he wants to win, it's got to be now. So I don't know what the Phillies do. I mean, you have to maybe shore up that bullpen. Not maybe, sorry. You have to shore up that bullpen, and it wouldn't hurt to shore up the starting rotation too. As much as I love what Ranger did this year, I don't want to bet the bank that he's our number 2. And Nola, there's a lot of question marks about Nola, and if he slots into the number 3 starting spot, those questions are gone for me. Everything going.
Here's your unrestricted free agents at center field. Starling Marte, that's a legitimate option. Jared Dyson, Juan Lagares, Billy Hamilton, Delino DeShields.
How old is Delino DeShields?
It's Delino. It's his son, not.
Oh, thank God!
Not the guy that was
29, by the way.
Not the guy that was on like the Dunruss rated rookie or whatever in 1980.
Okay, I was going to comment. I'm like,
not the guy that played for Montreal.
No.
Yeah,
they're from Delaware, by the way. The DeShields.
But yeah, so there's no options there outside of Starling Marte, and Starling Marte makes over $12 million a year. So I don't know that's like, I don't know. It's just that's going to be a tough one for me. Also, shortstop.
And what negotiating leverage do the Phillies have? Everyone knows they don't have tradable assets, and I hope it's either trade Bryce and build slow, which I don't want to do, but it's probably the right call. It's probably the right call to build the team the right way. But if you want to win with Bryce, which I do, you have to back up the money truck and give it to anybody who's willing to take it. And you don't have much of a leg to stand on because everyone knows the Phillies don't have a farm system. Everyone knows the Bryce Harper window to win is now to the next. How many more years is he in his prime? 3, 4, maybe.
Whoa. It's got a while.
Yeah, he's young.
For
That was
his-
sort of the whole reason why we spent the money we did on him, because he was, you know, his window was a little bit more open. It was more like an 8-year window, I think.
Yeah, but I'm not talking
We've
about
eaten half of it, but
we've eaten 3 years now. And it's not. I'm not talking about when he stops being an effective player. I kind of hope he's going to be the guy who's an effective player long into his career. I think he has all the tools to be it. But like Bryce Harper's prime is now, and we only have a couple more years before the regression starts. I think he's going to be a good player when that happens, but I don't know. Do you guys think we have the option to build through the farm?
well, I mean, you don't have it yet, which means you've got to sort of you got to hope that there are some things that just aren't identified yet, and you get very lucky. I think that they knew what their problems were going into this season, and they didn't address them in the first place. I think fundamentally, if you were able to not blow in the mid-30s saves this year, which you knew going into the season that you had a problem closing games.
And they tried.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that there was a lack of effort.
I cannot fault the organization. They knew they had a weakness. They went out. They got Avocado. They got Archie Bradley. I mean, they had tried to address that issue.
I think their bigger problem was they didn't have any depth at starting pitching, and they ended up basically for a third of the season, their fifth starter was a bullpen game.
But
how many bullpen games did we have to see?
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like they had it figured out in the second half of the second half. But yeah, I mean, again, it's just like if you don't have the farm, you may have enough to patch up some stuff, but you have no depth. And it's the same problem that the Eagles have. There is no next man up, because next man is Neftali Feliz, who was polishing bowling balls in a bowling alley last week. I mean, that can't happen. That cannot happen. There's no way someone out of baseball is a better replacement for someone who goes down than someone in AAA or the next man up in your organization. It just can't happen. There's a reason he's out of baseball. It's unacceptable. It's just unacceptable. That kind of stuff is unacceptable. And it's malpractice on behalf of Matt Klentak. And I think everyone's got to chill and give Dave Dombrowski 3 to 5 years to get this thing figured out. He's cleaned houses with the scouts. He's brought in smart people. Let them do their thing. I mean, that may be the problem with the city more than anything else. When you talk about the way we treat the teams and the players and stuff, it's just you got to let this stuff breathe and give it a chance to work before we just decide that it's a failure.
That's a very good point. That is a excellent point about giving people enough time to implement the changes they want to implement, to execute their plan. I really do believe that's a great point. It's just, can we bolster the team enough through free agency alone to be competitive next year? Not just competitive, I mean, a contender, to get in the playoffs and have the chance of making some noise, so we don't need to trade assets we really don't have. And if we can just build through free agency, how many seasons? 2?
Yeah.
Is that reasonable? 2 to start stockpiling the farm? I don't know. I really don't know.
For that to happen, I mean, they got to get a couple of pieces, some not stars, not even stars, just some. like serviceable, positive WAR players to come in here and fill in some holes. Some of these young guys, it's just got to work. I mean, and I think that's what Bryce Harper's alluding to when he's like, you know, we need some dogs from the farm. Like, look, someone's got to get their shit together. I don't care if it's Bohm needs to get his shit together, Scott Kingery needs to get his shit together, Adam Hazley, Mickey Moniak. Like one or two of these dudes needs to get their shit together and say like, hey, I'm going to be an MLB baseball player. Yeah. I mean, this is your career, dudes. Like someone needs to get their shit together and step up. And that would be that would be incredible if that could happen. You know, if Alec Bohm comes back and it's like, okay, I'm a middle of the road MLB third baseman. Like, okay. Yankees are back in this thing.
Oh, are they?
Oh no. Aaron Judge just got thrown out of home. All right. Anyway, so that's what needs to happen to make it work. Like, you guys, should we talk for like 5 minutes about MLB postseason?
Oh, you want to? You go, Dave. I'm putting myself on mute, having some water. You've been dying.
It's just my favorite time of year.
Mm-hmm.
I love MLB postseason. I love these wild card games. I love the ads for postseason that involve leaves of different colors blowing across things. I love it. My son was like, I love about the postseason, Dad. He's like, I love the commercials. And he's talking about like the promos where they show, all the guys from the teams or whatever and get excited about it. And it's just, I don't know, like today is like really cool. You get to see the Yankees and the Red Sox play an elimination game in Fenway Park in October on national television. You get to hear A-Rod call it, which I'm sure all of the Red Sox fans are just loving, and they get to know how we feel every 4 p.m. Eagles-Dallas game, and we get to hear Troy Aikman call our game against our rival. And it's just awesome. And it's going to be a close game. There's going to be drama. I mean, we're in the 6th inning now. And like I know in the 8th and 9th, it's just like every pitch is going to be like every single person in those stands. They're already all standing up in a packed house in Fenway, which we haven't seen in how long. The postseason was robbed from us last year for the magic that it is now. And it's one of my favorite, like tonight and tomorrow are like 2 of my favorite nights of the year to watch baseball. So I don't know. With that, thoughts on the MLB postseason? So I just love it.
Take it away, Gene. Take it away.
Much like you, I think that this is sort of that beautiful time of year where you get those magical games, those sort of legendary events. Bartman, stuff like that. Yeah, where things. There's nothing quite like the pressure of a baseball elimination game, whether it's a 1-game playoff, a game 5, a game 7. It's just sort of a unique, slow burn sort of pressure. That sort of mentality of, that manager is going to be looking up and down the bench, and that there's not anybody in that dugout that's going to be spared. If your ace pitcher needs to go in and get you 6 outs to win the game, tomorrow sort of be damned. Everybody's gonna do what they need to do, and there aren't too many equivalents in sports because you don't have the same sort of usage of the roster the way you do in baseball that you have in other sports. In basketball, yes, there's a rotation, but the centers are the centers. Baseball is such a game of specialization to sort of see that that desperation sometimes where you'll see guys have to do things that they haven't been called on to do through 162 games. And baseball, just partly because it's the one sport where all of the sort of fields of play all have their own unique characteristics. That this is where those monuments to the game sort of get made. This is why Fenway has the mystique that it does. It's why Wrigley and Yankee Stadium and even Citizens Bank Park to a certain degree. This is where they get that mystique. You don't get it, on a Tuesday in May. You get it on a Tuesday in October.
Gene, I love you, man. I love how you just threw Citizens Bank Park in there with Fenway and Yankee Stadium. It's like some sort of cathedral
Well,
to the game.
It's older than Yankee Stadium. It's older than Yankee Stadium.
That's fair. And already hasn't seen as many World Series, right?
I think that I think it's got more romance to it than City Field. So
yeah, sure. I wasn't anyway.
There's no David Wright corner in Citizens Bank Park.
No,
there is Utley's corner.
No, there's not. Sarah?
Yeah, I love postseason baseball too, especially the first round. I was not a fan of the one game wild card play-in. The current iteration of it, I do really enjoy because it brings such intensity to the start of it. And any playoff's intense, but it's like you start with back-to-back game sevens and then you start the series slow. You start that slow grind of baseball and day games. I fucking love day games, and the weather
when they're not my team.
Yes, when they're not my team. Well, if
I hated it when we had the day game.
I did too, but depending on how tenured you were at work,
sure.
A day game, that you go you're listening to that first inning on the radio, as you are making your exit to the bar to sit outside in gorgeous fall weather.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. That was wonderful. But I just like how pervasive it is this first round, where it's what time's the game on, what's going on, are you watching this, what's happening, and just that electricity that surrounds it. And it really is the first round. Now, there is something great about just the majesty of baseball, and as it goes on, it's still great. But the first round really feels special and exciting. And for me, I still don't follow the American League anywhere near as close as the National League. And in the playoffs, when the Phillies aren't in them, which is unfortunately most of the time, I watch as much American League as I do National League. So it's really, some of these teams I'm really familiar with, some I'm not, and it's just fun, and it does feel like fall, and it does feel special. And I'm not much of a beer drinker, but I like to have a nice fall beer and watch some baseball. So yeah, no, I love playoff baseball.
We should wrap up with some predictions, postseason baseball predictions. Any thoughts? Where's your head at? Who do you want to win? We could go that way. Who do you not want to win for sure? Do you want to do don't have them win power rankings?
Oh, that'd be fun. Yankees.
Well, all right.
Braves.
Well, who gets the number one spot? The Braves?
I don't want the Braves to win.
The Braves will get the number one spot.
So here's my list of villains: Braves, Astros, Dodgers. They're like the three. As long as none of those teams win, I'm okay.
The Yankees have to be on there for me. I just loathe the Yankees. I just loathe the Yankees. But it's hard to put them above the Astros. They're going above the Dodgers for me.
Okay.
Yeah, Braves number one, definitely. We
cannot suffer that.
No, not even. No, the Braves might be my most hated team in all of baseball. I do hate the Mets. I don't know, but the Braves definitely.
Okay.
Then the Astros. Screw them. I don't want to see them win and open up their chests and celebrate with trash cans and do all sort of trolling shit that they do. So then the Astros, then the Yankees.
Is anyone putting the Giants on their list because of Gabe Kapler?
No, I actually I sort of have an opposite vibe with the Giants. I sort of want to see them succeed. And that could possibly be because I hate everything that the Dodgers sort of stand for right now. This whole like,
I mean, that would really burn up Dodger fans, don't you think?
And I can't not want that. You know, there's something that's so attractive about this team that has just spent insane amount of money, acquired superstar after superstar. You know, basically making themselves a foregone conclusion to be a World Series champion, and to get beat by, by San Francisco with, Gabe Kapler and his sort of goofy squad of scrappy.
Gene,
scrappy
are the
players.
Cardinals on your hate list here for the World Series? They gotta be.
Yeah, I mean, I can't
like
stand
an upper middle
the whole
villain.
It's Braves, Dodgers, Cardinals for me out of the National League. That's the
Astros in there.
Well, I'm saying National League. The Astros.
Oh, National League. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Astros are number one.
I kind of feel you.
The Astros are sort of number one with a bullet. Like I just want them eliminated as soon as possible. Once they're gone, then I'm sort of happy.
Brewers are a very friendly team for me.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah,
I
think they're the only team I like. I have a soft spot for Boston, but I know that won't be a popular sentiment. So I'm not going to screw it. I like Boston. I'm rooting for the Red Sox. If not them, definitely the Brewers.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I would love for the Rays to win the World Series this year. I think it's their time. I've always kind of respected that organization for what they've done with what they've had. I would hope that maybe a World Series championship would get them into like a proper baseball park one day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Montreal is lovely, so. But I mean,
they're also sort of the anti-Marlins. You know what I mean? Like the Marlins sort of go out of their way. It seems
like if I lived in Florida, I would be a Rays fan 100%.
Yeah.
But if the Rays win, they'll be the Tampa Bay. God,
the city of champion. Oh yeah. Well,
will
they have some
they'll have all three.
Will they have some sort of like asshole water parade where they disrespect the trophy by throwing it all around all over the place?
No, only Tom Brady can do that because he has backups at home. He can do that because he can replace it himself.
The Bolts dented the Stanley Cup.
So they're just very poor.
What's wrong with Tampa? What is wrong with those people?
It's too many
old
people.
Florida man. Well, speaking of which, what about the guy with the gator or whatever in the trash can?
Billy guy
throwing shade at Ben Simmons.
Love it. It's not unlike Aguilar. No,
it's not.
But it's up there. I really think that like if you're a Philadelphian making national news, you do have to throw some shade at Philadelphia sports.
Is the guy from Philly?
Yeah. He is from Philly.
He just lives in Florida now.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's a Philadelphia
guy. If you took me and put me in Florida and said, "Okay, you got to put a gator in the trash can." Oh my God. All right. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you haven't done so already, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Also check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search Podadelphia. If you have any more time in your podcast listening day, be sure to check out the Whip Around for all the week's weird news. Also, be sure to check out the Painted Lines on Facebook and YouTube for all of your Philly sports coverage. And also check out the Philly Sports Alliance on Facebook for more and more and more Philly sports coverage. What's that? We're going to be back next Tuesday. We'll be talking MLB playoffs. We'll be talking hockey, getting ready to drop the puck, right? Next Tuesday it starts?
A week from Friday, the Flyers debut at home against the Canucks.
All right, right on, right on. And we have Sixers preseason games starting as well. So, we'll get you some more information about those teams as the season gets closer. So until next week, everybody, have a great day at work. We are out of here.